o'clock, a fight to bring power to Florida. Governor DeSantis is pushing to have his own agency to determine what workers need. You'll hear from both sides this morning as they stare each other down in Tallahassee.
Plus, it's the big talker in our state capitol right now, vaccine mandates. And this morning, CBS 12 News is looking deeper into the legality of the rules and what it could all mean for businesses.
And was the shirt that Nicholas Cruz was wearing when he killed 17 members of the Stoneman Douglas family maroon or burgundy? We'll tell you why the killer's defense team believes that matters as they try to save their client from the death penalty.
You're watching CBS 12 News This Morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Matt Lincoln.
I'm Ashley Glass. Let's go to Zach. Check on that forecast. I've been using my seat warmers day after day. I'm loving it. What about you?
Seat warmers for 60s, Ashley?
Just do it, Zach.
Well, I'm not lucky enough to have seat warmers in my car, so I just have to
Come take a
blast
ride
the
with
heat
me.
like a peasant, apparently. Good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. Maybe you're like Ashley using your seat warmers. If you're along the Treasure Coast or Okeechobee County back out through the lake, okay, I get it, 50s. But 60s this morning in Palm Beach County, and that's due to that ridge of high pressure steering a northeasterly wind. Now aloft, we still have a southwesterly wind, so that is bringing in some cloud cover, partly cloudy skies in Martin County, Palm Beach County south through Miami-Dade and mainland Monroe counties. So that's where the warm air is. The cooler air's back out through the Carolinas, through North Florida. But notice the rise in warmth across eastern Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. That is helping to set up our next storm system, which will come by later on this week. So this morning we're waking up to more mild air, talking the mid to upper 50s for the Treasure Coast, low 60s Palm Beach County. Daytime highs today in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. We'll highlight that late week storm system when I come back in just a bit. Guys.
All right, Zach, 6:02 right at the top here. Vaccine mandates, big talker in a special legislative session in Tallahassee. Should last most of this week. Lawmakers are debating a series of bills to block the vaccine mandates in Florida.
And some of the proposals look to offer some sort of exemption to vaccine requirements like medical reasons, proof of COVID immunity, or weekly testing. And the bills also look to fine businesses for firing workers for not getting the shot and block vaccine mandates in schools.
And we have team coverage for you this morning on all of it. Our Terry Hornstein looking into the legality of the vaccine mandates.
But we're going to begin with Sam Kerrigan here at the live desk. Sam, now the governor wants the power to have his own agency for workplace safety to avoid vaccine mandates.
Yeah, Matt and Ashley, it's what some are calling FLOSHA or Florida OSHA. And the bill, which is being talked about during the special session, would require the governor's office to develop a proposal for a state plan to take over occupational safety and health issues for government and private employees. Florida is among several Republican-led states opposing the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for businesses with 100 or more employees. And Republican House Speaker Chris Sproul says there needs to be more than one option if mandates are going to be in place.
People should have options. And I believe that this is what businesses and employees would have done absent the federal government's unlawful, in my opinion, involvement.
Some state lawmakers on the other side of the aisle say this push to block vaccine mandates is a political stunt by the governor. Democratic Representative Anna Escamani from Orlando says lawmakers should be focusing on other important issues like unemployment or housing affordability.
Have all members recorded their presence.
We could be working together to solve these problems, but instead, here we are in Tallahassee to basically play a political game because our governor wants to run for president one day. That ain't right. That ain't right. The people of Florida deserve so much better.
The measure was already cleared for the floor of the Florida House of Representatives yesterday, and an identical Senate bill could get the okay to head to the Senate floor as early as today. And if you're wondering, yes, states can form their own version of OSHA as long as they have plans approved by the federal agency that meet standards already imposed by OSHA. But the approval process usually takes 2 to 3 years. Matt and Ashley.
All right, Sam, thank you. And right now, the Biden administration cannot move forward with requiring workers to show proof of vaccination.
Right, earlier this month, a federal judge temporarily paused the rule after a bunch of lawsuits were filed.
And our Terry Hornstein is live for us. She continues our team coverage in North Palm Beach, looking into the legality of vaccine mandates. Terry, what could this mean for businesses?
Hey, good morning. You know, businesses like this one, Publix here, it's one of the largest employers in our state. Now, if this vaccine mandate did go into effect, well, they would have to enforce vaccinations on their employees or ask for testing very frequently. But right now, this mandate, it remains in limbo. The reason why the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, well, they just put a halt to this. So right now, this all is on pause at this time. So that means right now the Biden administration can't go forward with this mandate. The court ruled the law is flawed and just too broad. And some lawyers we spoke to now say this case could really end up in our highest court.
Probably the United States Supreme Court is going to hear it because this case, unlike many other cases, involves federal action that would govern and regulate private employers.
It's a high-profile enough issue that I think the court is likely to take the case.
The big argument is whether the mandate steps on the rights of individuals here. But there is also an argument some legal experts make that the federal government needs to do whatever is necessary at this point to protect our workers from contracting COVID-19. So we did reach out to Publix here, Publix all over the state, really. And, you know, so far they have not returned our calls. We asked them whether or not they will enforce this mandate if it in fact goes into effect. Of course, once we find out all of this information, what happens in the next phase of this case, we'll let you know.
All right, Terry, 6:07 now. Let's go back to Matt.
Yeah, so we want to talk right here about this map from the National Academy for State Health Policy that gives you a little bit of an idea of what states vaccines are mandated and in what states those mandates are banned. And you can see 19 of these states in the green. Those are where vaccines are currently mandated, where we're talking about the state workers specifically. And then the purple of those 8 states right now where you see those mandates are banned. Once again, these are for state workers.
And this morning, we also have new numbers coming in from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showing COVID cases are on the rise in the U.S. CDC says 7-day average of COVID cases jumped more than 26% in the last 3 weeks. Health experts say we could see another surge this winter and around the holidays of unvaccinated people.
And this morning, we're noticing a little bit of a difference in COVID transmission in Florida. Last week, we showed you that all of Florida was yellow, which meant that it was moderate transmission. But now we are seeing that some counties are back up in the orange, specifically in Central Florida and Dade County and Broward County. Good news, though, is that no orange in our area, which means a substantial transmission. And we actually do have one blue county, that is Indian River County, which means that transmission is low. Once again, all of our other local counties are at the moderate level. We are not seeing really any red in our state, even though we are seeing lots of red in the rest of the country, meaning transmission is high there.
All right, 6:08 now. This morning, the case of the Parkland shooter is about to go into the penalty phase. Last month, Nicholas Cruz pleaded guilty to killing 17 people during the school shooting in Parkland nearly 4 years ago. So at a pre-trial hearing, a judge denied several defense arguments where attorneys asked to declare the death penalty unconstitutional. Our Kara Duffy has been following this tragedy, this case, since day one, reporting live in West Palm Beach this morning. Kara, they went back and forth about so many, small details, but, they say could make a big difference. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, Ashley, as you mentioned, a lot of back and forth in the courtroom. We saw with defense attorneys for Nicholas Cruz trying to make the argument that some of the warrants for various searches on places like a house, as well as Nick Cruz's cell phone, well, that those search warrants were misleading, claiming that they used false information. And a big part of that meant arguing the small details here. We're talking, what color was Nicholas Cruz's shirt? That's right. One of the arguments that was made in order to get a search warrant of the home Cruz had lived in. A security guard had said that the shirt was maroon, or rather that it was burgundy during the shooting, but the detective had written on the warrant that it was maroon. So attorneys literally argued over the difference between those two colors. So again, the security guard saying that the shirt was burgundy, the detective writing maroon instead. Now, another example that the same security guard described what the gunshots sounded like, saying things like pow, but didn't at first say gunshots. So the detective said in the warrant that the guard heard gunshots within a minute. One of the detectives insisting, though, that nothing was done to be misleading here, simply saying that it was just a matter of semantics. And Matt Ashley, there will be several other hearings like this one leading up to the beginning of jury selection, which is set to get underway in the very beginning of the year, the first week of January. And we are told that they are going to be screening thousands of people, trying to seat a 12-person jury here. And again, he has already pleaded guilty to what he is being charged with. So now it is all down to what punishment Nick Cruz will get. The two options on the table: life in prison or the death penalty. And all 12 of the jurors would have to agree on their sentence, but ultimately it will be in the hands of the judge to determine what the fate will be of Nicholas Cruz when that time comes in the new year.
All right, Kara Duffy reporting for us live in West Palm Beach. Kara, thank you. 6:11 this morning, trial is underway for a man accused of using his pregnant girlfriend as a human shield in a shootout with Indian River County deputies. As happened 3 years ago, prosecutors claim Andrew Coffey shot at deputies during a search warrant at his home. They say he fired shots with no concern for his pregnant girlfriend, Alteria Woods, who she was there, and she was killed during the shooting. But the defense argues that Coffey was sleeping and did not know a SWAT team was trying to serve a search warrant. The defense attorney says he thought the SWAT team was a home intruder and started shooting in self-defense.
Officers are speculating as to what AJ could see and hear and know what was going on that night. What you're going to hear is that his concern for his girlfriend and himself caused him to shoot a weapon.
Coffey pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder and multiple counts of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. If convicted, he could face up to life in prison.
Well, protests are igniting again across South Florida over the way the Cuban government is treating its people. Yesterday, the government banned protests on the island. That only motivated groups in West Palm Beach, dozens seen waving Cuban and American flags at the intersection of Forest Hill Boulevard and Military Trail. They say the suffering has gone on for too long.
My feelings for Cuba are enormous. We're far, but we're together. It doesn't matter that we're 90 miles away.
We just want to unite and let them know that we're with them and we support all the freedom possible. That's a very impossible task, but they're trying as much as they can.
So over the weekend, more than 1,000 demonstrators rallied in Miami. This all comes 4 months after the historic protests brought arrests and crackdowns in Cuba, the largest on the island since Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution.
6:13 now, coming up, all eyes on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial as a verdict is set to come down anytime now.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the live desk in 3 minutes with the intense closing arguments ahead of that verdict. We're coming right back.